Chapter 9, Part 3. Example 9.9. An order requires 80 milligrams of a drug to be administered intramuscular stat. The vial has the following 3 choices of strength after reconstitution. One thing we need to know here before we keep going is that an IM injection is usually less than 3 milliliters. Okay, so that's going to help us on Part B, where we're asked to choose the most appropriate strength. For each of the 3 strengths, we want to determine the required volume of the solution to be administered. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to first, on all of these, we're going to be taking that 80 milligrams that was prescribed and putting it over 1. And then we're just going to do the calculations for each of these. We're trying to get rid of milligrams, so for the first one, I'm going to put 10 milligrams in the bottom, and then 1 milliliter in the top. The milligrams cancel. We end up with 80 divided by 10, which is 8 milliliters. So if I choose the weakest solution, then I'm going to have to give 8 milliliters of the drug. So let's go to the middle one. I'm coming back to 80 milligrams, and this time it's 20 milligrams per milliliter. So the 1 milliliter is still in the top, but this time the bottom one is 20. Okay. Again, the milligrams cancel. 80 divided by 20 is 4 milliliters. Okay. And then for the last one, it's the same setup. You're just going to have a 40 in the bottom instead of a 10 or a 20. So 80 milligrams, let's try writing 80, over 1 times 1 milliliter over 40 milligrams. I don't know why I'm having so much trouble putting zeros in. Okay, the milligrams cancel. You have 80 over 40. I'll write that a little bit better. 80 over 40, which is 2 milliliters. Okay, so for the weakest drug, it's 8. For the middle strength, it's 4. For the strongest mixture, it is 2 milliliters. So these are the answers to Part A. Now, Part B is to choose the most appropriate strength. Now, recall that these injections are usually less than 3 milliliters. So 8 is just really too big. Okay? The 4 milliliters it's bigger than 3, but you could. It's not a great choice, but you could split the dose into 2 different injection sites, injecting 2 milliliters in one spot and 2 milliliters in the other. So you can do this, but it's not the best. It's not optimal. Here, 2 milliliters, this is going to be your best option because it's less than 3 and you don't have to worry about anything. Okay, so this would be your best option. All right, number 10. The prescriber ordered 200,000 units of this drug, of penicillin. Read the label and calculate how many milliliters of this penicillin you will administer to the patient. So our order is 200,000 units. And that's what I'm going to try to convert to milliliters. So I look at the problem here. And where do we have it? Okay. For 10. Okay, so we have 3 options. Okay. We have to decide which of these is the most appropriate mixture for us, how much diluent to add. In units per milliliter of solution, I'm going to go with this one because this strength is closest to what I want. Well, I don't think it really matters. So let's calculate all of them, okay? So this strength, if I added this much diluent, it would be 250,000 units per milliliter. So let's just try that. Okay, so your units cancel, and then you can do this whole thing in your calculator if you want to, but this has 4 zeros. I can cancel out 4 zeros here, and it makes it easier. So I have 20 divided by 25, which is 0.8. So if I choose to make the weakest solution, I'll give 0.8 milliliters. Now I'm going to go ahead and calculate it for the rest of these, and the setup is going to be exactly the same. For 1 milliliter, the middle strength is 500,000 units. Units cancel. This one has 5 zeros. I can cancel 5 zeros here, so I have 2 over 5. 2 divided by 5 is 0.4 milliliters. And that makes sense because if you double 250, you get 500. So it should be half strength because it's twice as strong. Now let's do this last one. I expect it to be in half again because 1 million is 500,000 times 2. But let's go ahead and do this. I'm going to put 1 million in the bottom down here. So I have 200,000 units over 1 times 1 milliliter over 1 million. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros. I can cancel out 5 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have 2 over 10. 2 divided by 10 is 0.2. So as the solution doubled in strength, the amount we needed to give went in half. Okay. Number 11. Okay, the prescriber ordered this drug 200 milligrams. You have a mix of vial that contains 500 milligrams. The directions on the label state each milliliter, when mixed, contains 125 milligrams of Cortef. How many milliliters will you administer? Okay, so let's just organize this information. I'm ordered to give 200 milligrams, and the main part of this is each milliliter contains 125 milligrams. So this is 125 milligrams per milliliter. Okay, how many milliliters will you administer? You take the 200 milligrams and put it over 1. I'm trying to get rid of milligrams, so I'm going to put the 125 in the bottom and put 1 milliliter in the top. Okay, your milligrams cancel out. You end up with 200 divided by 125, which is 1.6. So you should give 1.6 milliliters of that drug. Okay. All right, so 9:12. The prescriber ordered heparin 4,000 units subcutaneously every 12 hours. Read the drug label and keep going. There are a couple of things you need to know about heparin, okay? This is a special drug, and we have special considerations to take. We have special things we have to take into consideration. We never ever give heparin intramuscularly because it's a blood thinner, and you are risking major bruising at that point. Okay, we are always going to measure this very carefully. You want to use a 1 milliliter syringe so that you can get a very exact measurement. Okay. The other thing you need to make sure that you understand is that heparin is not the same thing as a heparin flush. You never want to get those two things mixed up. Okay, so let's look at our first problem. Calculate the number of milliliters you would administer to the patient. All right, so I've been ordered 4,000 units. Okay. It's a little bit hard to see on this, but we have 1 milliliter and 5,000 units. Okay, so if I put this over a 1, then I am going to put the other units in the bottom, which is 5,000. And then put the 1 milliliter in the top. Okay, units cancel. 3 zeros are gone. So I have 4 divided by 5, which is 0.8 milliliters. Okay, so we're supposed to mark this on a 1 milliliter syringe. We want 0.8, so 0.8 would be that right there.